Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dropped Frames. I believe it's week 6. Last week I said it was week 4, and it was actually week 5, so that's how I remember. I don't know. We're joined. I'm JP McDaniel, joined by the rest of the crew. We've got Coh and Zeke here, and our special guest this week is none other than Sacriel, who we'll have introduced in just a second. Coh, Zeke, how are you guys doing?
Doing super good.
Super good.
It's like super good. I feel
awesome.
great.
Coh, how are you doing?
Not say it better. Just awesome. Doing fantastic, man.
All right, cool. Sacriel, welcome to the show, man.
Hello.
How's it going over there? It's, what, 9 o'clock in London right now?
Yes, it's 8 p.m. dead on.
8 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
yeah, going really well. Really well. Thank you for having me.
Congrats on your Survivor Games finish, by the way. We'll be talking about that a little bit later.
Cool.
Getting second in the runner-up. I guess the best thing to do to start off the show is why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, your stream, who you are, what you do, things like that.
Cool. Okay. So my name's Chris. I go by the name Sacriel. About 3 years ago, my YouTube channel blew up because of DayZ, and I simultaneously got made redundant, I think you call it severance in America, from my job, and I just used that money to float on to stream full-time for like a year, and we quickly established that whether it's my charming accent or my prowess in DayZ, we found a niche to build a great positive community on Twitch. And then 3 years later, here I am surrounded by people that greatly outbeard me. That's my only failure as a human, I think.
Well, I mean, it's a tough show. It's a tough show.
It's, next time, like, we argued about that. Can we let him on the show if he doesn't have a beard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so they call you, when you get fired, they say you're redundant? That's like the worst way to tell someone that they're fired.
Yeah, so the process is called redundancy, and the
What
chunk
the fuck,
of money
England?
you get. Yeah, so basically it's like your job is no longer required. Your job became redundant, so we had to let you go. So because your job's redundant and you didn't screw up, here's 10 grand or whatever.
Well, at least they gave you the 10 grand. But
Yeah, I wish that was just a random figure.
Jesus, redundancy, man, that's harsh.
Well, at least they have a word for it. Like, here, you can say whatever you want. You can say, your shit can't because you suck, or you can say whatever. And
yeah, that's true.
more often than not, you don't get like a cool severance package.
That's true.
Okay.
At least they get a reason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
But yeah, so my channel's all about tactical gameplay. I've always been pretty competitive, so like all the way back from playing Duke Nukem on dial-up, and like Warcraft 2 and stuff. I've always been like, how do the game mechanics work? How can I excel at this game? And then my friends would come around my house and watch, and they'd be like, oh, how did you do that? And I found that I had a bit of a knack for teaching people about the game mechanics and how to improve and things like that. So yeah, that's me, I guess.
I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you were one of the original channels with a sub notification. Like, you were one of the originators of that. Is that correct?
I have the tier 1, like the original old school sub. So when you sub to me, if I run adverts, you don't get it. And all the subs for the last like 2 years or something, everyone gets adverts.
Right. And then on your stream,
So jealous.
Yeah. I think you got to be old school. When was your stream started, Coh? You started 2 years ago? I think
April
you just missed it then.
2013. I literally missed it by months. When I got my sub button in September of 2013, and it was just a few months too late.
Yep.
I missed mine. I was August.
It's harsh.
No, excuse me. I was September as well.
It's harsh. Well, let's talk about what we've been playing. I think we're definitely going to be spending some time regarding Evolve, but we'll do that a little bit later. For now, let's keep Evolve out of it. We'll talk about the Survivor Games. Sacriel getting second in that.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was Survivor Games is like this really unique. I don't know. It's like when you watch the Hunger Games films, you get that kind of desperation vibe, and everyone's against each other, but they don't necessarily want to be. And it's all sorts of emotions and action. And some people are super ruthless, and some people are a bit kind of too caring. And it's like, oh, I don't want to shoot that guy in the back.
What?
So it's a really
no one's
interesting-
like, everyone is a cold-blooded fucking killer in the Survivor Games.
Waffle? You reckon Waffle's going around being a cold-blooded killer?
Yes.
He was handing out beans. No, he wasn't. But
He would kill anyone on sight. Dan would probably be the one to hesitate.
I was gonna say, I don't think there's the bone like that in Dan's body.
no, exactly right.
I try
Yeah.
to subterfuge. I'd really try like to talk my way out of getting killed. Like, you don't want to kill me. Maybe I'll kill some people for you. You know, what?
There's much better storage places for bullets.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not worth it.
For those that don't know what the Survivor games are, it's kind of an old school. I think Lyric said it best when he said it's a tradition on Twitch that they've been doing. Was this the fourth one, Sacriel? Is that correct?
Fifth one, I think.
Fifth?
Shannon? Was it the fifth one, the Survivor Games? Yeah, fifth one.
Yeah, so fifth one. And they basically take 15 teams of 2, all popular streamers. They've had some YouTubers in the past. I think we had some YouTubers this past weekend, some esports personalities in there as well, some StarCraft players, I think. And they throw them into DayZ, and it's basically kind of like whoever's last in the games wins. The winner this past weekend was Psy Syndicate, and what is his partner's name? Again, Cat. Just Cat?
I think it's KATT, Cat. Yeah.
They had a crazy 2v1 finish against Sacriel, where Sacriel ran around like a madman.
There was some jukes involved. It was a bit intense.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, though.
Some of the most intense DayZ I've ever seen. Like, that was insane. It was absolutely insane.
That's the thing, when you know there's like, because the worst bit is you can't have any of your overlays or your chat open. So like, just before the game started, I went to like twitch.tv/game/DayZ, and there was like 195,000 people watching or something. And then I have to turn off all my windows and go, I have no idea how many of these will be watching me. So when you're in those final moments, you have no idea what's happening like behind the scenes, and you're just in your own little world. Yeah. And towards the end, I was just channeling my like old school Quake persona. I was just like, right, rely on reflexes, situational awareness, and I was just bolting around this airfield, like just hip shotting left and right. It was intense.
It's good.
I hope everyone enjoyed it.
So, is everybody on the honor system as far as not looking at chats and that?
Pretty
kind of
much,
stuff?
yeah.
Okay. Is it just for Pride?
Is there weren't they giving Astro or something?
Astro, and they were sponsored by Astro and multiplayer game servers, and I think Astro gave away like headsets and stuff. Because I came second, I'm gonna get a couple of headsets or a few headsets. I'm just gonna give them away on stream or something.
Cool. Yeah, I know that Soma what is his relationship with that? Soma from Twitch, the community manager at Twitch. Is he the creator, the founder?
I don't know actually. Shannon would be able to answer that more. What would you say Soma's role is in?
Soma's the inventor. Like,
So he was like, he gave the spark.
Okay. Well, he's messing up then. They should give they should just make global emotes. You win the PJ Salty thing, you get a global emote. You win the Survivor games, you get a global emote. Like, that's all. Jelly. If you want something that streamers really care about, it's that. It's a global emote. We'll actually try for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, something to show that everybody can see and just like, that's mine.
Exactly.
It just goes to show though, like, how powerful the Survivor games is. Like, it hasn't been around for a year.
Yeah.
And the day it comes back, they almost beat LCS in viewership.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
They had
like a 2 weeks announcement or something, 3 weeks.
I think it peaked at like did it cross over 2K or 200K?
I think it was 195 or something.
They were right
just
there.
Around 200.
They were getting
right
pretty close, yeah.
Yep.
I know that I honestly think if Lyric wasn't the first one eliminated, that it would have broken that, probably. Yep. He had like 60, almost 70,000 people watching him, and then he was the first one to die.
I watched his stream the next day. He said the funniest thing. Someone came on his chat and went like, so, how did Survivor games go? And he said, I won, but they chose to play the footage in reverse. I thought that was the most brilliant answer I've ever heard for dying first in the tournament.
Nice. I got to say, I'm still the only person to have not died in the Survivor games this past weekend, Chris. You realize that? I didn't actually die. They DQ'd me because I was unconscious.
Which of you did I punch in the face?
You punched Strippin in the face.
Yeah, I took his hammer, his mighty warhammer, put it on my back, and then punched him in the face, and then ran off.
Yeah, so what we're referencing that a lot of people don't understand.
So hold on, that strategy doesn't work? Like, you can't just lay there unconscious?
So it's a long story. Let's start from the beginning. Me and Strippin are fucking terrible at DayZ. We haven't played in probably like a year and a half. They've changed a lot of things. We understood what we were doing, but we didn't optimize the game at all, so I was getting like 20 FPS when I was playing, and basically we were really bad.
Wait. On your beast machine?
Yeah, that's how terrible it is.
That's impressively bad.
Yeah, dude, it was here's some nerd talk for you. It was doing 14% on my CPU and 20% on both cards in SLI because it didn't know how to use them. It just doesn't understand how to use the
There
hardware.
is an ini file. You can say like CPU cores 8, threads 16, and it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, and I just didn't set it up the day before because I didn't know. But yeah, so we started off with terrible. The games start, and you're like, all 15 teams are standing around this campfire. I could probably show this on stream. All 15 teams are standing around this campfire, and then they count down. Everyone runs in, gets the food in the center, and then they just kind of go off. You don't start with anything, so you have to go find guns in towns and stuff. Me and Strippin decide just to run north because we don't know any better. And like probably 2 minutes into the game, an admin comes into our TeamSpeak channel. He's just like, "Yeah, you guys are going outside the circle. You're gonna have to turn back in now before we DQ you." And we're just like, "Great." That happens 7 times throughout the 2-hour period because we get lost. We have no idea where we're going. We never find a gun. We never find any food. And if you don't eat or drink, you actually go unconscious. You just black out. Yep. So we're in the middle of a field running. Strippin blacks out in front of me, just falls to the ground. I'm still up. I go to give him CPR, which you can do in game. I wasn't aware that it doesn't even matter. So, like, as I'm giving CPR to his ass in game, I go unconscious on top of his ass. And we're just both standing there. We're both, like, laying there in the middle of this field, unconscious. No one knows what happened. In the main broadcast, they finally find us because Sacriel and his teammate run over towards us, and he punches Strippin in the back of the head. He doesn't know that we're both sitting there unconscious while we're just, like, goofing off on stream. Strippin eventually dies after a couple server resets. I think it was like an hour or so of just sitting there staring at a black screen. And I went on to be DQ'd while unconscious, so I never died in the Survivor games. Even the winners killed themselves at the end.
So technically what you're saying is you basically won the Survivor.
If I wasn't DQ'd by the phasing, yes, I won.
Wouldn't it have been hilarious if you passed out just inside the phase 3?
That's what I was hoping. I didn't know where we passed out at. We were right outside of the town.
You're 100 meters away from it.
Oh
my god! Just a little bit further. Seriously, and imagine if Syndicate had shot himself at the end because no one else was there.
Yeah.
Oh no, mate, you'd have been disqualified because phase 4 was actually that little area.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It would have been funny if you'd won.
Yeah, I was sad that we got 6th. We never saw anyone. We never fired a gun. We never looted anything.
I said to Shannon actually, if I was the last person, and it was me versus one other person. And in DayZ, it's very common to shoot someone unconscious before they die, and then you can talk to them, and they can still talk back when they're unconscious.
Right.
I was going to walk over to the body and be like, "Who is this?" And like, if it was anyone except Dan's Gaming or Waffle, I'd just kill them. But if it was Dan's Gaming or Waffle, I'd bandage them. And then in DayZ now, if you press F11, you go into suicide stance. And if you've got a knife, you get on your knees and you hold it to your throat like this. And if you press left mouse, you gut your own neck and kill yourself.
Yeah.
So I told Shannon, if it was like Waffle, and he just said, "Oh, it's me, Waffle," I'd have bandaged him, got down with the knife, and sat there, waited for his character to wake up. So the last thing he sees when his screen fades from black is me, and I just gut myself, and he wins the tournament. I actually said to Shannon, "That's what I'm going to do," but they didn't make it to the end. That would have been a beautiful ending.
Epic. Like, I don't even like that word. I don't even like using that word very often, but that would have been pretty fucking epic.
That's Hollywood movie shit right there. That would have been incredible.
His face. I'll just love to see his face on the stream if he wakes up and the last thing he sees is me falling over. The animation's really gritty as well. You kind of like dragging it and there's like resistance and stuff. It's horrible.
This is the clip of me giving CPR to Strippin on stream right now. You can see where at the very end he was begging me to leave, and we were kind of role playing a little bit. I was like, "I'm never gonna leave you, Strippin," and then he's like, "Kiss me on my bum before you go," and then that's where I passed out. We had some fun though. We were staring at an unconscious screen. It got up to like 8K viewers watching us because we were serenading each other with some John Legend. All of me. We sang sang that to each other. Then we were hoping we would get up because apparently when you go unconscious, you can stand up. It was.
And I see like that little warning at the bottom that some of the audio is muted.
Yeah, so that's because of that.
Is it because you did such a good rendition of John Legend?
No, like we actually I played the song on stream. I didn't care about the VOD at that point. Funny enough, it didn't actually mute John Legend. It muted the saddest song in the world with the violin. Because like when Strippin died, I put that on for like 30 minutes while I was just sitting there talking to myself. And that's what it muted. It didn't mute the John Legend.
The hammer and the chest rig and the helmet you see there made it to the final 3 people.
Didn't you take my gun too? You took the gun off me, I think.
I did. But you had no ammo, so I ended up swapping. I ended up swapping it before phase 3. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun
Strippin was with me in spirit.
Yeah, Shannon was the one that talked me into playing, and I told her before that the day before I was just like, I'm not hyped for this at all. I'm not really excited for it. I have no idea what I'm doing. And afterwards, like, it was probably one of the funniest things I've ever done on stream. Like, it was fucking hilarious.
That's the beauty
when
of
we went
this.
unconscious.
It's such a sandbox. Just so much insanity happens. That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah, it was.
You wearing a dress in jeans?
I was wearing. Yes, I was wearing a polka dot dress, which was actually very. The picture that I sent them for the profile was me in a maid outfit, which was for one of the role plays. So they like showed that, and then they found my dead body in game, which was wearing the similar dress. So.
Did you catch your like player profile they did? Because they did like a player profile during the official like camera work stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was wearing the maid dress in there.
Yeah, Calendal's like, look at is JP wearing a tux? And Smack's like, no, that's a maid's dress.
Yeah, that's not a tux at all.
That's not a tux. That's not in it.
So yeah, that was definitely a lot of fun. The full VOD, I think, is. Can you watch the full VOD on the Survivor Games Twitch? Did they put that up, Chris? Or are they editing it right now?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask. That do they take like from lots of other people's streams and like make a cut of like all kinds of like other people's views and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've had a few requests like, can I make VODs from your field of view and stuff? So I think they are doing that. Yeah.
I'd love to watch that. I think it would be great.
Yeah, here's the full games if you want to watch that, Zeke. I'm trying to find the spot where Chris runs up on us. It was funny as hell too because the announcers like find us in the game. They're just like, we have no idea what happened here. What are these two doing in the middle of the field?
The thing is, we thought you'd been shot. So if you notice, when I find your bodies, I walk up to it and go, I'm going to loot the bodies, and then I juke back, like, is anyone shooting at me? No. Oh, and I was like edging back and forward, like trying to lure the shots. It just turns out you starved to death.
Yeah, there's my amazing profile picture. Eyes closed, wearing the maid outfit. It's pretty good. But yeah.
So there are people like running around in the game like that you can't kill that are like announcers.
No, they just had like they were
Floating
basically
camera.
spectators. Yeah, they were just like moving around in the game where they were invisible to us. We had no idea that they were there.
Okay. So they're just like invisible cameramen and mic.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
In the previous games, like in the Arma 2 version of DayZ, when they did the Survivor games, there were actually staff. Like if you were outside the phase zone, they would actually send in a staff team of killers to come and fight you to the death. But the problem was, when you're facing some of the best DayZ players on Twitch, we just killed them and carried on. So it didn't really work too well.
I see our bodies over there, but I don't think they do anything. I can't find on the fly. I can't find in this 3-hour VOD where you found us. So you can go watch it on their Twitch channel if you want to watch the full games. It was a pretty fun time. I had a lot of fun playing in that. And now I actually want to like practice, quote unquote, for the future games. Play some DayZ beforehand, so that I actually have a fucking clue what's going on.
I reinstalled DayZ. I didn't know if I'd ever done that again. I reinstalled DayZ on my new Intel machine. There's a chance I may actually be in the next Survivor games, and I'm gonna have to figure out like I need to talk to you, Zach, about the I edits. Like I want to get all of it rock solid, and then I'm gonna be streaming it for a while, and people are probably gonna go crazy. But it looks so. I mean, just the environment you guys created with these games is incredible. It's like it takes. You basically took a sandbox and built like an entire infrastructure to make a game that the devs probably didn't even think about doing something like that when they made it. It was just incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yep.
So much fun to watch.
Yep. I was pretty vocal about the fact that we were playing on DayZ the day before, but I feel like if we played that in H1Z1, it would be like a little bit too arcadey.
Yeah,
in the sense, because DayZ compared to H1Z1 is like fucking jumping shotgun shots that are like perfectly accurate and shit in H1Z1. And if you try to do that in DayZ, one, you'll probably like break your leg somehow and fall through the world, and two, it just will miss regardless. Like the actual shooting is pretty, I guess, real life as much as you can be. Like you get the shakes and stuff like that if you don't eat, and it's definitely harder to aim in there. So that's why you saw people running around, and it was quite ridiculous at the end.
Well, just like we were saying in most of the H1Z1 streams, you know, there's always going to be, like, people are all going, you know, oh, is H1Z1 the DayZ killer and all this stuff, and every time people would say that, me and many others would say, look, no, there's always going to be people that prefer DayZ. It is always going to be a more,
well, it was the first one.
Customized. Not only is it the first one though, there's things that fundamentally set them apart, and you guys just pinged a lot of them. Like you're always going to have a more tactical experience in DayZ. Where in H1Z1, you're going to have more of like an arcadey, you know, fun. Let's go find some guns and shoot
Yeah.
each other, and kind of a death match. It's much more of a death match where DayZ is like a tactical shooter.
I've definitely
so
DayZ for
both have
me,
their place. Of course.
I remember back in the day, like when I first started streaming, actually, like back in 2011, maybe 2012, when DayZ first came out. I was playing with Destiny at the time, and we did some really devious, fucked up shit to people in game, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had. Like we found these two guys, and we had a friend, and this is on my YouTube channel. Found these two guys that both were geared. Me and Destiny were not, and we had a friend that was up in the hills, like 300 yards away, that had a shot on one of the firehouses at the very top. And so we led these two guys all the way up there and said that we were looking, there was a gun up there and we were going to go get it, and we wanted their protection or something like that. I forgot what bullshit story. So we lead them all the way up to the top of the tower, and then we tell Kyle, who's in the game with us, to take the shot. And we're just standing there, and all of a sudden you hear this like loud Mosin shot go off, and the guy next to us just drops. And we all like start freaking out. We're faking it. The other guy's like really freaking out. We loot the guy's shotgun. We kill that guy. Then we just talk shit to him afterwards.
What?
And that's the only stuff that's gonna happen in DayZ. It's fun.
so unforgiving.
You are horrible. You are a horrible human being.
Dude, I did much worse
How
in
to
that
know
game.
you, sir?
I did much worse. There was a time where we were in a hangar, and I didn't have anything, and there was a guy with a gun, and he was going to kill me, and I talked my way out of it. And as he was checking a corner, you used to be able, I don't know if you can still, you used to be able to loot people while they were still alive and take things out of their backpack.
Backpack, yeah.
So I took his gun and shot him in the back. And then he was so upset. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
It's dog eat dog out there.
They were fun
awesome.
times. Yeah. The other one too was where Steven was mad because I had an axe and I was making him nervous because I've done like he knows that I do really fucked up shit and I was with the crew. So he shot my leg, and when you shoot your leg actually breaks. You can't walk, and they left me out there to die. One of the viewers came out to heal me, and for the next 2 hours I was in TeamSpeak with my mic muted on stream, just following them around, and I eventually got the shot and killed all three of them.
What?
So that was a lot of fun too.
I really don't know why anybody who plays games with you doesn't say like, "Oh, we gotta kill JP like first guy."
It happens if people have played before.
He's gotta go because he's the most devious one like out there.
It is, and I've actually gotten better about not being that fucked up to people in the past. But
There's actually a check you can do that. Oh, sorry, Co, you were saying.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, there's this thing that some people do that's quite funny. So in DayZ, if you damage a pistol, it won't fire. You can't damage like assault rifles. You can only damage pistols for some reason. So what you can do is you can find a broken pistol, put a magazine in it with ammunition, and give it to a stranger, and be like, "Oh, let's go and loot." And then if you hear, you know they're trying to shoot you in the back, and then you can just kill them. Be like, "You failed the test, dude."
Yeah.
It's really again, this total sandbox nature of it lets you do all these psychological things. It's really good.
That's the Die Hard, man.
Exactly.
When Bruce Willis gives it to Hans Gruber, and he's like, "No bullets," takes it back.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Sorry, Coach, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if I even know the answer to this. Zeke, what is your experience with DayZ? Have you ever played it? Have you ever streamed it?
Not a single second.
We should play it.
But I'm saying that's what I said. Like you guys were all hyped about H1Z1. I was like, dude, I've never done any of these games. I've never done like these survival, like open world sandbox games. H1Z1 was the first time I did it, and let me tell you, I just like when I played Minecraft, like I get it now. I understand why everybody's like, you can play this for hours on end. And just keep going and going and going. And like, no, but H1Z1 was my first taste of that. I've never played a single second of DayZ. But I'm always open.
it's true. We should play. We could have Sacriel lead us. Sacriel's like when I first started watching him 2 years ago. He runs around with a crew and like is super like military sim is maybe the best way I'd describe it. Like he really gets into like sitting on a fucking hill, watching people with a sniper and like making amazing shots. So it would be an interesting experience to see you and Sacriel play, Zeke, because you're pretty opposite of each other.
Oh no, it would probably be like I don't know who the villain is, but he has this mustache. But his sidekick is Muttley.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He'd be doing all the stuff, and I'd be sitting there going,
If anything, Sakura would be like, "All right, Zeke, this is what I want you to go into town and just run around and talk to people and get them to
Okay,
stand
boss.
still."
Okay, boss. What else do you
Yeah.
need, boss?
And then Sakura will just take the shot from like 100 or 500 yards away and kill him. And that's how the team would work. That's how I see it.
You'd be like a human, you know, like when people go hunting and you shoot like an animal and send the dog out to bring it back. I
Yeah.
shoot people and send Zeke out. Bring me his loot. You just
Exactly.
scutter off into the woods.
Only if I can laugh like the duck hunt dog.
There you go.
You,
There
you
go.
may.
Zeke, you'll find this. So karma came back recently in terms of my evil doings in the H1Z1 and DayZ games. I have a friend, not had. I'm speaking in the past tense for some reason. Named Ryan, who was like the most precious person. Never wanted to like kill anyone in DayZ or like befriend them or like do evil things to people. He would always trust people. And like through the process of playing with me, became like a complete dick in game. And so in H1Z1, after we had found each other for like, or trying to find each other for like 5 or 6 hours on stream, he kills me in the middle of nowhere, just with a headshot to the head. And I was fucking super raged. And it now dawns upon me that I created him, and that was my fault. I made him evil.
When I
You made a
first,
monster.
like, my first taste of a game like that, H1Z1, I was wandering around and I was like, "Hey, no, I don't know what to do. I'm a friendly or whatever. Don't shoot me, please. I just started. I don't know anything." And then like it eventually everything just like a post-apocalyptic society, I would imagine. You just kind of devolve into like,
You really do.
Yeah.
it just
Changes a person.
man for himself, you know.
That's the funny thing too about those games is it's the only game where you run up on someone and you automatically think this guy is going to kill me somehow. And there's no other game where like you're gonna have that thought about someone. And most of the time it's pretty true. Like whoever is and the other guy's thinking the same exact thing. And so immediately you have the sense of distrust between the two people, and it usually leads to one of them dying by the other's hands.
Yeah.
Which is an
But
interesting game.
But by the same merit, I can't tell you how many times on stream I've had encounters where, like, I'll catch someone off guard, and just something about the situation makes me just kind of say, "Hey there," and then they reply, and there's got a certain tone or something to their voice, and I'll literally go on for like the next 3 hours with this random dude that I know nothing about, and will get shot at by other people, and you form like a little bond,
Yeah.
and you go on and have these amazing adventures, and at the end of the day, it's a really odd experience because you really have like this little kinship with this person that you had no idea about, and it's really quite interesting that can occur.
It's true.
I totally get that. I mean, there was people just wandering up to me and saying like, you know, "Are you gonna shoot me?" Or like they have their hands in the air or whatever, you know, signaling they want to talk. And then, you know, you get to talking and then they're like, "Oh, you don't have one of these yet? Well, here you go. Here's one of these and here's one of those. And if you got, you know, time, there's stuff over here and blah, blah. And you're just like, "Oh man, that's great." And
So
then
it's really,
Yeah. That's good.
I've never really had that in any other game.
Yeah, I haven't either. Maybe WoW. Like WoW would probably be the closest one. Like if you group with
If
someone
you're on, like,
randomly in a
team
dungeon
chains.
and then you just lose track of them because you can't contact them. That would probably be the only other semi.
But then you still get the same
Similar occurrence.
douchebags where you got like 16 people stood around a boss spawn spamming AoE on its spawn trying to tag it.
Oh yeah, no,
From
those were the best times in WoW. Those were the best times in WoW for sure.
expansion launch days were just chaos.
Oh,
You did
they
the
were-
same in EverQuest 2, man.
EverQuest 2 is probably the same. Just pretty much any MMO has the same douche lords that do that stuff, and most of the time it's someone like me. So
Oh, we led the guild of those douche lords in EQ2.
yeah, I will always remember.
or does anyone call you King Shit anymore?
Oh, so that's actually an emote pretty soon on my channel.
King Shit JP's gonna be an emote.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh.
Shannon made the. It's actually it might even be live right now. I don't know. Shannon made the graphics for me earlier today, and it's a little piece of shit with like a crown on it. Let's see if it's
I
live.
had no idea about this.
No, it's not live yet. It'll be live later. They gotta process it, but yeah, we'll try to make it the global emote. It's so much of an inside joke though that I almost don't want it to be the global emote, because then people are like, why the fuck does this guy have a turd with a crown on? How does it make any sense whatsoever?
A few people in chat actually reminded me of something. So, in DayZ a long time ago, I died in this like little camp thing somewhere, and I respawned near the same camp that I just died at. And I was wandering back towards it, like I'm going to get revenge. And I found this guy prone, looking through a scope, like looking at the camp where I was.
Yeah.
And I went prone, And when you crawl, you make like a rustling sound. So I can't remember whether I rolled over to him or you can kind of stutter crawl so you don't make sound. And I crawled over to him, and like you said, you can loot their backpack. So I looted his backpack, hoping to find a gun to shoot him in the head. He didn't have a gun; he had ammo and stuff. So I took all of this stuff, put it in my backpack, and I crawled away and I hid my backpack in a bush. And then I went back to him and I started running around him in a circle so he couldn't shoot me. And I was like, you're the guy that shot me. You're the guy that shot me. And then he says like in this really like nice and calm voice, he's like, oh no, I think I just saw you die. The guy that shot you is over there. And then he just bang rings out a shot and he kills this guy. And I'm like, whoa, holy Jesus, wow, okay. And I'm like, are you gonna go and loot him? And he goes, you go loot him, because he didn't trust me, right?
Yeah.
So I went and looted him, and I got all this crazy gear, loads of guns and like backpack and chest rig and all this stuff. Went back to him. I was like, here it is. And he's like, no, keep it. And I was like, just because he was so nice, I was like, oh, to be honest, I stole some of your stuff from your backpack. It's over there in the bush. He's like, oh God, and he went and got it. And this guy, I asked him what his name was. Or actually, I didn't. I asked him where he's from because he sounded Canadian and Shannon's Canadian. So I was like, where are you from? And he's like, Vancouver. And as a running joke on my channel, if I ever can't pronounce someone's name or I don't know their name, I'll just call them Dave.
Sure.
So
Makes
once
sense.
I like this guy, in another story, this guy like we got in a firefight and this guy killed everyone but me, and then he was friendly to me, so I just called him Friendly Dave the Murderer. So I called this guy, went, oh, we'll just call this guy Vancouver Dave. And the next day, we went on to play for hours and hours and hours. He is now a DayZ streamer under the name Vancouver Dave and has become a very close friend of mine.
That's
and we
awesome.
see him at every PAX and we spend time together. He is the nicest man on the planet. And it's just a really interesting. It was just a total random. He didn't know who I was. He didn't recognize my voice. He wasn't like, "Are you Sacriel?" And everyone in chat's like, "Tell him you're Sacriel. Tell him there's 2,000 people watching." And I didn't. I just played normally. We got shot at. We defended each other. We bandaged each other. We went on and had adventures. And to this day, we're really close friends. And the next day, he just booted up a channel, had a graphics made, Vancouver Dave, and is this amazing dude that I see multiple times a year. And I've actually got a genuine friendship from this one little random event in a sandbox.
That's rare in DayZ because I would have killed him and said fuck off.
I know Vancouver Dave. That's
Right?
amazing. I had
Isn't that
no
crazy?
clue that's where his name came from. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It's absolutely
Really
awesome. It's a
There you
great
go.
dude.
But I think that's why me and JP are friends. 'Cause
Yeah, we're both evil pieces of shit.
that's the house.
The number one thing, look, I will never forget my times in Dark Age of Camelot. The best MMO ever made. I don't care what anyone else says.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, it was, for me, it will always be my fondest memories of playing games, no matter what happens the next 30 years. You're gonna say
Camelot of
something.
change, just saying.
Well, we'll see. They've always said it's going to be brought back, but it'll never be the same. I played on a role-playing server in that game, which is funny now because of what I do.
Was it Percival, was it?
No, it was Guinevere. I played on Guinevere. I didn't roleplay at all back then. I was like 13. I was a complete shitlord of like, imagine me at 13. That's a scary fucking thing.
Did you have a
So
beard?
do what? No, I didn't have a beard. No beard. On Guinevere, one of the things that they would do is you would get married in game, and they had like a full-on thing that you could do. People would go and like do marriage rites out in one of the PvP zones. And so what we would do when this would occur is we would go out there and kill the party, the wedding party. We would just slaughter all of them while they were getting married. And it was some of the most fun that I've ever had because they would put like bounties on us and like our realm hated us. And we would end up like saving everyone because of the way the PvP worked. We would get all the relics and stuff. But I will always remember like killing people's weddings in Dark Age of Camelot because it was so much
Talk
fun.
about wedding crashes. Jesus.
It was so much fun to just go in there and like murder the bride and then just like walk off.
That's like ulti trolling. That's like the
Yeah.
worst
Yeah.
possible thing you can do.
It was so
That's like
fun.
early-
Red
that's
weddings
like-
all over the place. Just
That's
reenactions.
early
all
levels trolling, because that's like
It
that
was
game
good
was
fun,
like
man.
what 15 years ago. That was before the whole trollolol thing.
Yeah.
So you were like one of the original trolls.
I was. My roommate
pioneer.
took it. My roommate's always been like the.
Maverick.
I played with him and actually met him through. Well, I met him through San Antonio, where I live, but we were very close friends in Dark Age, and he was actually the guy, still is today, that understands like all the coding and aspect, the technical side of shit. And he found some sort of bug or hack where he could create terrain above himself for other people, so it would just look like a bump and they couldn't actually target him, but he could target people from the inside out. And so he would put this bump in front of like giant towns of the opposing factions and just sit there and constantly kill people outside of the town. And so he might even be eviler than
Wow.
me. It's good times though.
It just proves my theory that good trolls are born. You can't just make yourself one. You have to be one inside. Your heart
true.
has to be black, and it has to have acid for blood. You know.
Very true. It's very true. Other things not evolved. Zeke, you've been playing some Darkest Dungeon. Last week, I don't think you had started, correct?
No, I started on Sunday.
So what do you think? What do you think?
It's perfect for my like play style and the way, like, I don't know. It's really, really, really fun. I didn't expect that it was going to be that much fun for me, but it was easy to pick up, easy to go. The randomness is, you weren't kidding.
Yeah.
It generates like a serious, like, there's calm, and then it's just like a spike of just hatred, loud, angry, fiery rage at something that happened. Like, I think I the enemy that I was trying to kill, like this one trash mob, like dodged my attack. Like,
What was it? Was it the Highwaymen? The Pathfinder?
No, it was the hook guys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They have like this, I don't know, but they dodged me like 8 times in a row. Also, there was I screamed bloody murder when a piece of crockery dodged my attack.
What?
Wow.
A bubbling pot.
Oh, you're fighting the
I don't wanna
hag.
get-
You're talking
Yeah,
about the wizard hag.
Yeah.
Yes, the pot
Yeah.
dodged
Yep.
my attack.
That happened to me too.
Critical
Same thing
fail.
happened to me, man.
Yep. Did you
That
end up beating
mother-
that, Zeke?
Mm.
No, I haven't beat it yet. No,
Okay.
I'm pretty slow as well, and I don't look at the. I try and avoid like hints
Sure.
from the chat and stuff.
Oh,
'cause
that's
I'm
rough, too.
sure,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely sure there's obvious things that I'm missing as far as like making the game play more my way, easier, stuff like that. So I'm really trying, and people like they get up in arms about like,
Oh yeah.
why doesn't he burn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the simplest blah. And I'm just seriously, I'm going back to town. I'm abandoning quests. I'm failing. It's just my stress. Like everybody is completely stressed out at like all times, and I gotta stuff. But let me tell you, it is really, really fun because
It's so
especially
fun, man.
when your stress meter goes up, like you touch one thing and it's like you go from 0 to completely stressed out, and then something pops up above your head. Like one of my least favorites is like the masochistic one.
Yeah, where
Wait.
he won't take heals and he won't.
Yep.
He
Oh,
hurts himself. God, that's so fucking annoying when that happens in game.
Yep.
There's-
But it
yeah.
makes for some great like just salt.
Yeah, it's good. We'll be talking a little bit later in the like a news segment of the show. They put in a patch today, and there's some big changes to it. So you might have to mute yourself or mute us, Zeke, when we talk about that because it's about like different class balances and things. I don't know if you care about that, but when we get to it, we'll get to it.
That's actually a really interesting question, Zeke. How do you feel about that from a back, like a back seating perspective?
How do I
How
feel
do you
about
feel? How do you feel about patch notes that come out and say specific things that have been changed? Like, like this person's move now does this, and this person's move down. Do you see that as helping you learn, or do you see that as stuff you need to know, or stuff you should avoid?
Well, here's the thing. I really, really try not to. My mods take it way more seriously than I do. I really don't like my mods are like super loyal and protective, and they're like, no, boo, and they're like, they're not like banning people or anything outright. They're just like purging comments, and they'll tell them. But like honestly, if I see something, I'm not gonna like. I don't get like super pissed off about it because I know people are inherently good and they inherently want to help you succeed, and I understand the want and the need to do that. But I try not to get like too overly mad about it. Like, so if I see patch notes, it's fine. It doesn't really bother me. If I get something like spoiled for me or something like that, it does suck. But it's honestly, it's just a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I could see how it's something like, well, whatever. I'm not going to go into it because eventually I will say something that Zeke doesn't want to hear about the game, and I don't want that to occur. So
Don't let it hold up the show. If it's entertaining, you go ahead.
No. The game for me, I have not put. I put 25 hours into it to defeat the 9 bosses. I didn't get everyone to level 6, which is another like the checkmark thing, but I hit week 50 in 25 hours. So
This
Out of
is
curiosity.
a game where I would not mind like trying to 100% it.
Yeah. What were we gonna say, Co?
I was gonna say, did you kill all the bosses with the 3 Helion, 1 healer group?
No. So there was a lot of times where, like, I beat one of the bosses. I literally 3-shotted one of the bosses with a Hellion. He crit for 58 3 times in a row, and then like had a bleed on him and shit, and so I just killed him. And then in like the next normal dungeon, it just killed one of my guys in like one round. He just died for no reason on a level 5 dungeon, and I was so fucking upset. And then right before that, the day before that, Julia comes into my channel and I start a run, and she just goes, "Pyro is God is gonna die," which was the name of one of the Hellions when I was running that triple Hellion group. Pyro is God is gonna die. Sure enough, in the fucking first fight, he dies, and I banned Julia from the chat for like 5 minutes because I was so.
Are you
upset.
talking about Julia CS?
Yes.
Oh my god!
She came in
you
the chat.
monster.
She was like, "Pyro is God. He's gonna die." Then did her little fucking Julia face right there, and I was just like, "Julia, if that happens, you're gonna go."
You know, for how like adorable she is, she can be a real snarky butthole.
Yeah, and the little face makes it even worse too. Her little Julia face is just like the
It
cherry on
does,
top.
totally does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she uses it so well.
You know, but JP, if you knew better, the second she said that, you would have left that
would have
damn
just
dump.
left. Yeah,
You just should have
I
left.
didn't know that she had these powers. I didn't know that. That was
You asked me before if I beat the hag.
yeah.
I actually did end up like that was the last thing I did. I went in there and I was like, well, this is gonna be a huge failure. Went in there, started like fighting and doing stuff, and I was like, I don't think I'm doing this right. And like everybody was almost dead. Like a couple people were on death star. I was like, well, maybe I can go back and regroup. So I abandoned the fight, went back, regrouped, tried to like stun heal as best I could before like the scum stun healy thing. Before I went back.
Yeah.
Went back and actually beat her like
Nice.
the first time in the dungeon.
Nice. Yeah. 25 hours in a game. I've not done that, honestly, in like a year. Save for like Arma 3 because I put 160 hours into Battle Royale. But yeah, like it had been a very long time since I had enjoyed a game that much. And the fact that there's still like 5 more classes being added, more dungeon, I think more bosses as well. Like the second those are put into the game, I'm there. Game is absolutely amazing. I cannot suggest that game enough. And
Did
for
anyone see it coming? Like I just
remember
kind
I
of
saw
woke
it
up
at
one day and
PAX.
everyone was playing it, and I was like,
I saw it at PAX on a trailer, and I was like, that game's art style looks really, really cool. And
Yeah.
that's all. And then it came out.
Immediately. It's very comic booky, and I love
yeah,
that style.
they blew it out the water artistically, and not just artistically. Like the sound is amazing. The narrator guy that kind
the
of
narrator's the best. And like,
isn't that great? Like when you hit a trap and he's like saying, "Oh, what a strange art that of a trapper. His eyes never see the efficacy of his work." Like
Yeah.
little things like
the
that.
vocabulary.
Yeah,
It's so
and
good.
Yep.
it's excellent. Like
Can I-
from start to finish, it hooks you in.
I am absolutely 100% love when a game does not talk down or dumb down or anything like that.
Yeah.
When they use like appropriate, like colorful, wonderful language,
Yeah.
I really, really can appreciate it.
Like I think my favorite saying in it is when he says something along the lines of like overconfidence is like a slow killer.
he would say
all
that to
these
me all the
things.
time, but I just had Hellions. I'm like, shut up, narrator. I've got Hellions on myself.
I don't know,
Dude,
just
that's
something
great.
super charming. There's something
just thinking
super,
about
super
that.
charming about it. Sorry, Ko.
No, I was just saying I completely agree with you. And I've already contacted. His name is Wayne something. I've already see if he does custom sub sounds.
I think he's doing them for their. Yeah, I think Lyrics has already got some in the work
Oh, does he?
from him. Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, like we need a narrator for the game I'm working on, and
Yeah.
I just am thinking of sending him a mail and just being like, so
Yeah. No, I ripped the line glitter and gold trinkets and baubles because I love the way he says baubles. It's like the best way I've ever heard anyone say a word.
beautiful.
So that was like my sub emote for when I was, or my sub sound when I was playing the game because it was just perfect. And I had it like deafening, so it just shut everything down on the cast in terms of audio, and it was great.
It really works.
I can't believe that game's $20. If
That's nuts, right?
if you think you would like that game from what you've seen of like 30 seconds of playing it, buy the game because it's absolutely worth it.
you'll spend 20 hours learning if you like the game or not. Like
Yeah,
there's so
yeah.
much to do, and there's so many new things and so many class. I'm over 40 hours in. there's 2 classes I've never even messed with.
Yeah.
Like, and I could run entire dungeons with those 2 classes. And they have the game's early access. When it comes out, they have multiple more classes coming in.
5 more,
2
yeah.
of the 5 areas aren't even in the game yet. And like, I don't know if we're here to talk about the patch notes yet, but they changed a bunch of stuff today that's going to increase the longevity too. Like, it's nuts.
Yep. We'll save that for the new stuff, even though we'll be repeating a little bit. But yeah.
I wonder if they'll ever have a multiplayer. Like you can build
I hope
a
not.
4-man group and just face off against another team. I reckon there's a lot of
Like a battle
skill.
arena.
Yeah, just 4. No, I mean you're 4 characters, so 1-on-1, but you're 4 characters in some kind of arena. I think
It
that would
couldn't
be
be
a really
competitive,
interesting.
but
Yeah.
it would be really salt-inducing between friends if like you just miss and then he hits
Yeah.
randomly.
He gets a crit like grape shot.
Oh.
Yeah, it has more RNG than Hearthstone, and that's saying something. Like that's
It's like
the
they
king of
designed
RNG.
a game for Lethal Frag. Like it's
It really
medieval
was.
FTL.
It's a
It's
great.
beautiful.
If you enjoyed FTL, you will probably love the shit out of this game.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, it totally caused like a lot of salt, but any game that makes you feel that way, there's something to be said about
Something
it.
to
you
be good, yeah, yeah. And the
a lot
best
of
part
games come in-
too, the best
Sorry.
part too is when something like that happens. The next thing that you do can be a crit, and then you're like right back in it, and you totally forgot about what just made you salty as hell 10 seconds before that. And that's
Exactly, it's the same in FTL, right?
Yeah.
You have a bad fight and you're like, oh screw it, I'm dead, and then you do your next jump and it's just like, here's 100 scrap, and you're like, oh, I can
Yeah.
repair, and then you carry on. It
that's
just
Darkest
keeps you
Dungeon.
just on that edge, so you never want to give up. It's a very very well designed thing. I really like those games.
Yep. Yeah, another. I see XCOM being thrown around. It's very XCOM-y in the RNG as well.
Well, I think the difference might be like with XCOM is that it seems like it's not RNG in XCOM. It seems like once you step somewhere, like no matter what, you're gonna fail, like or you're gonna succeed.
That's true.
It seems like cascading RNG, like it goes from bad to worse, and that's it. Whereas whereas in this, like you say, you might get your next AoE as a crit or a crit heal, or they might whiff their next attack, and it brings you back in. Yeah, I agree. I think it's way more FTL-y.
The big thing though, yeah, because like people have been saying that, because I stream Darkest Dungeons pretty much every morning, like I have for last week. I'm doing it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And people make the XCOM argument all the time. The thing is though, even though I don't have a huge amount of experience with XCOM, the fact that you're on an XY grid and like positioning is such a big deal in
That's
XCOM,
true.
it
Positioning is
almost
huge,
makes it
yeah.
kind of incomparable to me. Like, but granted, I mean, when I played the latest XCOM, not the Bureau, but the
Enemy
latest
Within.
like release. Oh
Or-
my god, dude! The RNG
Enemy
in that
Unknown.
game was insane.
Oh, yeah.
Like your best characters could just be.
And I think
killed
that's
whenever.
for me. That's where I was
That's
drawing
probably what they're talking about there,
the
yeah.
relationship. Yeah, is like anything can happen on a whim in both games. And like it'll make you incredibly salty, and then the next move will make you like you'll hit like a 40% chance to kill something, and you'll actually hit it, and then you're just like right back in there. Like the feeling of amazingness comes back the next move, and I think that's where the parallels are between the games.
Well, hopefully it does. I've
Yeah.
had a stream of enemies critting, just like they crit, you
Dude,
miss.
the
Then
best-
the guy in the back shoots that little gun attack that hits all 4 of your people. Oh look,
Yeah.
it just crit and hit everyone. That's great. And then the
I
guy in the
watched-
front does his little one hit whip that's supposed to make everyone bleed. Oh look, it just crit for 8 on everyone. Oh, and everyone's bleeding. Oh, this is great. What a fun game. And at that point, you walk away for a while. Like I have not raged harder than like people in my channel will tell you. I've gotten to the point a few times where I have hit my desk so hard it has made my camera
See,
move.
I didn't get that bad, and I'm pretty
Wow.
ragey. I didn't get that bad, but
Are you? But you're pretty even keeled, aren't you?
no, I get very upset sometimes, but
get
it's
super
very. I
upset.
keep it very. I'm like man, where it's very insular most of the time. I'm always just like vocal about the fact that I'm probably upset.
Okay.
But if I'm like really, 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 really upset, I'll usually just end the cast because I don't want to like freak out on.
I've been there.
I don't want to
to
freak out on stream because
I've had
that
that
hit-
asked because it
What's
was-
great is that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. What were we gonna say, Chris?
I was lucky enough to see Lethal Frag play his very first game of it, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay, we're in for a treat here." And he got to the first highwayman fight, where it's like the big dude with the whip and the 2 dudes at the back.
Yeah, those are the
like-
worst enemies in the game. 100%.
And he's like,
first
"Okay,
fights.
cool. So we've got a fight here." And the guy whips, and it's like double crit for 17. I'm like, "Whoa!" So he's like, "Okay, I get to do my attack now." He's like, "Smite, miss," and then the other 2 shoot, crit.
Yep.
And he's like, "Okay, I'm going to do judgment, miss." And then he's back to the big guy again, and he does another double crit and wiped his group.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, restart. But because I was like, I would break down at that point. And because he's played so much FTL,
He's just like, he understands.
it crushes your soul. He was just like, totally just like, okay, that's the nature of the game, and just carried on without skipping a beat. And I was like, that's when you know someone's played like 500 hours or 1,000 hours of FTL, when they can get crushed by RNG, like 10 crushed failed RNG rolls in a row, and just be like, oh well.
Yep.
I would have been like, okay, uninstall, let's play DayZ.
Yeah, that fight or that group, the big guy with the whip and the 2 highwaymen, they're the worst because point blank shot from the big guy can crit and do like 1 billion damage.
Like 40. Yeah.
And then the 2 guys in the back can do blanket fire, which hits everyone for like 8 damage, and then you just die. And it's the fucking worst thing.
God forbid the back one, and if any of your characters are even slightly stressed when that start fight or that part start, I can't even talk. I'm so flustered by that fight. I can't even talk. No, seriously, that's one of the worst ones. The big guy with the whip, the little guy that always crits when he hits twice and bleeds, and then the blanket fire guy in the back. I can't tell you how many times that screwed me.
Yep.
They put that as a first fight.
I had people coming into my chat that have been playing it for hours. The one who was the saltiest about it was Lal Renene.
Yeah.
She came in and was watching the RNG that I was getting. I breezed through a lot of shit.
Yeah,
I was doing very, very well. I haven't wiped. I haven't had a restart yet. But over and over and over again, people were like, "How in the fuck are you still alive? They're not critting you. They're not. They're just really upset that their run of luck was so much worse than mine was."
Yep. It's a funny game for sure. It's a funny game. Definitely check it out.
A really fun aspect of the RNG is the kind of buffs, like the perks and anti-perks that you get. And I had an anti-perk where it's like your only stress reliefs is to pray. And I was like, okay, fine. So I went to the church, and they had RNG'd the caretaker to be in the church thing, so taking up the slot.
Yeah, that's
and I was like,
really
okay, fine. So I put in 50 crests and all this stuff to open up a second room at the church, and I went, right. And I dragged the person, ding, and it wouldn't drag them in. I'm like, is it bugged? And I went back and I looked and I went, this is definitely the person that can only pray, yeah. And the next debuff down will not step foot in a church. And I was like,
you have to clear
really?
Yes.
You can only pray and you won't go to church. And I just spent all my crests making an extra room. Are you kidding me? I tried to put them in a psych ward for a week or something. Oh, it was hilarious.
It's only a matter of time.
My other guy got syphilis reading a book. So that was another highlight. Yeah. It's like, just open the book. I have syphilis. Yeah. Put the book down. Carry on. It's like, great.
Yep.
Come on, there's way more fun ways to get in syphilis.
It's true. What were you gonna say, Co?
I love naming them after
No, after subs is the best part. Naming them after subs in the chat is the best part.
I did mods.
Okay.
They're there all the time. But yes, same idea.
Yeah, same idea. Yeah.
Just watching them just get Eddie Monster, who's in my chat right now. He's another caster on one of my mods. Immediately I picked him and I was looking at his thing. It's like, oh, he starts the game with syphilis.
Yeah. It's fun.
He gets around.
A lot of streamers are doing that. I think it's perfect because, one, you get to just shit on your subscribers and not feel bad about it. And two, they love seeing themselves in games. So it's cool to be able to do something like that. Co?
I think didn't someone complain to Lyric that someone said to Lyric you're not naming any of them after non-subs. So he literally named
one non-subs and then he got to a boss and they died. Yeah. Yeah, because he didn't heal him. He could have saved them and then they died, which is hilarious.
That's awesome. Non-subs can go. They can just die. It's fine.
I love Lyric.
Yeah. Co, what were you gonna say?
Remember? I was just gonna say along that subline. The fun part about naming them after subs, in my opinion, is A, the sub is there watching, and B, holding them personally accountable for every negative thing that character does. Yep. So you're sitting there going, oh, Miss Chaotica, how nice of you to miss twice. That's great. You're so useful. I'm so glad I named someone after you. Yep. That's great. Oh, look, you made him bleed with the heal, but you healed him for 1. That's good. Yeah, no, that's great.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. So yeah, Darkest Dungeon, great game. Go check it out. Anything else you've been playing on stream, Zeke, that's not Evolve? I don't even know if you've played Evolve yet, but besides Darkest Dungeon?
I would actually like to address that. A lot of people were really super hyped, and I played Evolve, and here's the thing, the same thing and I played Nosgoth, that's right, I forgot.
Oh yeah. Hey, you did your first sponsored stream, that's right.
I did, and probably a lot thanks to a lot of people, but probably a lot of thanks goes to this show, getting it out there, whatever. But anyways, a lot of people were like really hyped about Evolved, and I had the same qualms with Nosgoth that I had with Evolved. Is that I personally am not akin to playing just like PvP only games.
Mm-hmm.
That is not like, that's probably why I've never like picked up like Smite, right? Like like the just sole PvP games. Like they're not my I guess they're not my wheelhouse, I suppose. So when Evolve came out like officially, I was on the edge, and then I played like Darkest Dungeon the day before, and I went, you know what? I am much, much, much more happy playing this.
Yeah.
There's going to be tons of people playing Evolve. I'm going to play this because this is what makes me happy. So
Evolve is a weird thing, and Ko, you've been playing it a lot on your channel. I know me and Sakura have both been playing it. Sakura probably more than anyone, honestly, because he's like a PR. I've been getting shit on stream as like the 2K PR fanboy over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting game, to be honest, man. I don't. We were playing last night with Total Biscuit, and he kind of made the great comment of like, the game is fun, but only if you're playing with an organized team. Because if you're playing pubs, the game is actually not fun. Like, it is a grueling process, and it's kind of boring because you're not talking to anyone. There's no strategy. There's no communication. I think that's where like the fun lies within the game. And I'm interested to hear, because I kind of know Sacrils, and we'll get to it in just a sec, but I want to hear what Ko's saying, because I haven't heard you talk since I've been playing as well. I haven't had a chance to check out your stream. What do you think of the game right now as it's in its final state? It's out there in the world.
I think Evolve is a lot of fun. I will completely echo what you said about it being more fun in a team. I was lucky enough to where 2K allowed me to bring in 15 of my stream team early. And so we had like 2 groups of 5 going. We, random monster every time. That was a blast. But to be honest, in those types of situations, when you have a group of fun people that you like playing with together, that can make almost any game a lot of fun. So it's almost like we shouldn't be judging it with that. But that being said, I think Evolve is really cool. It's extremely well made, which is a breath of fresh air. Like, everything works. The environments are gorgeous. The graphics are fantastic. But it's just like everyone that's been coming to the channel has talked to me about, just like every time anyone talks about the game, you hear people mention it gets very repetitive. Yeah. And and don't get me wrong, it's not because the game isn't fantastic, but it's just it's very, going into the game design gameplay loop analysis. There's every game mode offers similar loops, and once you've done that loop 400 times over the course of 40 hours, or however many you do, it definitely starts to get a little, you get to a point where you're playing it around, and you're with a trapper you don't really know, and they're not doing well, and you just got killed by the monster. You just kind of want to go play something else. And I found myself getting that way with Evolve more recently. But it's also one of those games that when you get to that point, you go play something else for a while, and all of a sudden you got that itch to play it again, because it's fun and it's a good time, and you want to see who's available, and hey, do we have a group up? So it's a good enough game to keep coming back, but I don't know if it's quite enough to have like staying power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big thing that a lot of people have been saying with the game is like how much what is the term, like
longevity?
Yeah, what's the longevity of the game? And I don't like. Chris, you were saying last night that eventually people will get better at the game just because they start to understand it more, and like you'll start getting into better games because of that knowledge that people will eventually find. And I hope that's true.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is the longevity of the game really, I think, hinges on people's resilience to put up with the bad people. Not necessarily bad people, but new people, sorry. That's a really bad way of saying it.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so like, I think people nowadays are conditioned to deal with irritating bad pugs from League and Dota, and if you join a public game in like Battlefield or Call of Duty or anything, you always sometimes end up on a team where you can just appreciate that not many people on your team are good and quite a few people on the other team are really good, and so on. So I just hope that the audience for Evolve is mature enough that although they might have a few bad games in a row, they themselves know, well, I've had to improve to get to this certain point. And all I'm saying is I hope that the community and I hope the community have this kind of they give it a chance. They give it a month. I reckon in a month's time, if you queue up, there'll be most of the people in there will be all on comms, all communicating. Everyone knows more or less what to do. It's super. The problem is, I think most people get disheartened in the game and they think the monster's overpowered if they're playing as a hunter because you've got an uncoordinated team with a bad trapper. So you feel like you're chasing your tail for 15 minutes, then you die, and that's a bad experience. But as the community matures and they watch more YouTube videos, more streams, your average gamer will get better to the point that maybe the people that I'm sure a lot of people will be weeded out by that process, and the people that remain will be the ones that are improving themselves at the game, and you will find your average game to be more and more and more enjoyable. So here's how I imagine it's going to happen in the next month or so. I reckon in about a month, Behemoth will drop. Lots of people will come back because they're like, wow, cool new monster, I paid $60 for the game, whatever. They'll come and play the Behemoth, they'll queue, and they'll be like, holy, wow, I really enjoyed those 5 games. And it's because if they went away for a month and then they've come back, in that month, the average player base quality has just gone through the roof, and now everyone's a lot more competitive. So you're getting a dome in the first 5 minutes, you're getting into a fight, and you get the monster's health down. It just about escapes. You're chasing it. It's an adrenaline rush, right? Whereas at the moment, if you just have a bad trapper or a bad team in general, you will chase your tail for 15 minutes and then die to a level 3 monster, and you feel like, oh, this is just so disheartening, I don't want to play.
Yeah.
So I think the whole Behemoth coming out in a month or so thing will bring a lot of people back, and they'll find that the game is a lot better for it, but it's actually the people that are better.
It's definitely going to be hard for them, like as developers, because if you think about it, they're one of the first games to come out that has had this very long marketing on Twitch.
Super long.
So the game started, like we were playing the game, I think me, you, and Co were all playing the game back in November. And that was when I played it. I didn't play it. That was the big alpha. I didn't play in the beta, which was like a month or maybe 2 months ago. But if a game's been on Twitch that long and now it's finally out, you can kind of already see in the numbers that the game is getting on Twitch globally. Yesterday, with 2 sponsored broadcasts going on. Sacriel, you were doing one. Tally, I think, did one that overlapped a little bit, maybe not. But 2 sponsored broadcasts going on. Day 1 of the game release, 30K viewers was what it peaked at yesterday. That is incredibly low for a game this size. Granted, I don't think Lyric was playing it, and that could double it if he did. I don't know if
he went on last night at like 5 a.m. GMT here, and he had 25,000 or something.
Yeah. But generally a game, like a new game like that, you'll see do 80, 70, something like that, or more reasonable numbers on Twitch on launch day. I think Goldie was playing it last night and got around like 15K as normal viewership and all that stuff. But like you're saying, I hope that I don't think those players will stick around. I don't see, and again, this is just from me taking a guess. I don't see the big streamers sticking around a month from now playing the game. Honestly, don't. Go ahead, Coach.
I got a couple questions for Sacriel. Now, Sacriel, you've probably played this game more than any of us. Do you see yourself playing this game for the next month at the rate you've been playing it until now, since release?
I think they spoiled us with the press releases. Like you said, you got 15 keys. I was offered a whole bunch of keys. I had a key, and I didn't. I got to the point that I wasn't playing it. I wasn't playing the press release because there was no queue to queue into random people to fight.
That's why I stopped too.
Yeah, but I feel like they overexposed the game.
I do,
because there is a slight, like you say, there is this kind of, it's a bit samey, and there's always the counter argument. You know, people have played CS, they got on DE Dust for like 15 years or whatever. So do people really get bothered about one map with 3 routes and blah 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 and a few guns? I think it was a marketing error for them to expose the game so much. I think if there was no one playing Evolve until launch day, and then bam, launch day, everyone all at once would have been piled in there. There'd have been 100,000 viewers. Everyone would have had like 15K viewers. Like the bigger guys would have had 15K viewers, this, that, the other. But the fact that at any time for the last few months, over the last month or so, anyone has been able to go in and just watch a streamer play it, because there's always like 5 or 6 press build streamers playing it.
Right.
It's kind of like you can go and watch that, and it's a bit underwhelming because they're playing against each other, and they're not, you know, there isn't the same adrenaline rush and this, that, the other. So I really think that they kind of partly ruined the launch by letting so many people play and letting the viewers watch it, than if they'd actually taken the press release back and just said it's going to be launched on Feb 10th, and then bam, everyone gets to go and watch it.
So almost like an oversaturation kind of deal.
Absolutely, it kind of ruined it a little bit, right? Like if you know, like I don't know, whatever the next big movie is, The Hobbit, like the latest Hobbit film. If the trailers were 15 minutes long and you could watch a third of the film before the film came out of the cinemas, when you watch it at the cinemas, you would be like,
kind of underwhelming. Yeah, it's true.
I think that was a marketing error, and I hope that other developers learn from that and don't just give a bunch of streamers like permanent access, because if they slowly stream it for a month up to launch, a lot of people, it might be that same 100,000 concurrent, but spread over a month, all watching for an hour each on different time zones and different days, all kind of go, I'm not sure I like this so much, and then they go away. Whereas if they just watched a streamer with 20,000 viewers playing you're playing into the queue and it's all adrenaline rush and hype and everything, I think it would do better. Do I see myself playing it in a month? Yes. I hope there's a tournament scene that comes out. I think that would be good. I think it's going to be a not so mainstream, because I think unless they pull something out of the bag and really start to like add monsters and hunters and monsters and hunters and add a lot of mix, I think it's mainly going to be the more hardcore gamers that want to prove themselves, because it is quite a hard game, very deep strategically. One error can lose the game.
Also, you would not think that from playing it just playing one game, you would think it's not at all, but it is actually an incredibly deep game.
The games we had with TB, the coordination that we had was just off the charts.
Yeah.
And like TB was like, I don't really like this, and Total Biscuit. And we played with me and JP and Loco yesterday, and then like every single fight, he learned 10 things he didn't know, and then in the next fight, he incorporated them into his playstyle, and by the end of it, he was like screaming with joy. He was having a blast, and he's like, wow, this game's amazing once you know what you're doing and once you're playing with friends and stuff. I just hope another thing I think they screwed up with is they should have done a party pack where you get 4 copies for $45 each instead of $60 each. So you buy a party pack, send it to your friends, you all play together, you can bounce ideas off each other and coordinate, you perform better, you win more, you feel better about the game, and you give it more of a chance. So they definitely need to bring out a party pack. But I think if the Behemoth comes out and it's interesting and well balanced, and they've got 6 more hunters, and when you add 6 more hunters to the 16 they have already, there's a lot of new mixes in there, so there's lots of new stuff to test and lots of new combinations that might be super interesting, that might bring viewership back. So I reckon the future of this game, and including whether or not I fully play it as a main game for the foreseeable future, is when the new hunter and the new monster teams drop, if they add enough spice that it brings a lot of people back, and then those people that come back enjoy it more because the average player base quality has gone up, I think it could have a really strong future. It's really down to how they play it.
Yeah, I think we would all, or at least I agree with that. I don't know if Ko or Zeke agree with that, but it's
no, that was a great answer, absolutely. And I was kind of expecting something like that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I also someone in chat was saying that it got up to 80K yesterday. It might, I don't know, maybe it peaked. Might have had wrong info. So
there was a point when there was a French streamer on, Lyric, Towley was being hosted, me and Sacker were streaming, and there was a I don't know what Rocket Beans TV is, but it's a really big German channel.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, like 15
but they were actually playing Evolve 2. So I think they're
okay.
But that was kind of like a perfect storm, because I was doing my thing with my team, Sacker was doing his thing, Towley was like, and then Lyric was playing it. Like any game at that point will be that big. Darkest Dungeon actually had a similar occurrence on its release day. So
but yeah.
There was one thing that I wanted to mention about, like, as far as like oversaturation and like giving out, like people were talking in chat about it being too expensive, like $199 for the
4-pack.
Yeah, for that. But I thought like they released too much content before the actual game, so it's like everybody got a taste of it. Like too much of a taste. Also, I hate buying games with a promise of like more stuff to come. Give me more stuff to start with is what I want.
It's true.
Start core game with lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah.
And then add little things along the way, but give me lots of stuff to play with right away.
A lot of that's just the marketing.
Get me more.
So do you feel that 3 monsters, 12 hunters, 15 maps, 4 modes, customizable maps where you can add benefits to the hunters or the monster or both, all those combinations, do you feel that's an underwhelming amount of content?
I want to know Zeke's answer to that, but then I have a perfect reason why, so go ahead, Zeke.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Like there's I'm just bringing up a broader point. as far as games go. It's like
Okay.
every single game has like the promise of way more content coming down the road, and that's every single like big game that I see. It's like I would much rather wait and have a lot of content right away.
Yep.
And add stuff like my one of my favorite games, and I'm sure you guys know Man vs. Game's favorite games is Dark Souls. Huge, awesome game to start with. Bam.
Yep.
And then they said, okay, we're gonna put a little expansion here, down the road here, down the road here, and I love the way they did, because the core game is huge and expansive.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah. So and that's all I've just had.
Yeah. And
thought.
I think what you're talking about is a trend that's really started to occur in the past year and a half, or probably even before that, 2 or 3 years, where, and this is what a lot of gamers have an issue with, is that they show a game, they show you all this stuff, and then before the game is even announced, they show you a DLC pack that's going to come like a month afterwards. And so when people see that, they're like, why is that not in the, like, you can go and look right now in the Evolve files, and there is literally a folder called DLC01. It's in the files that you downloaded for the game. I have no idea what they are, but there are files that you downloaded for that. And that is where a lot of people are just like, why are you already advertising stuff for me to buy before the game's even out, before I can't even buy the game? That's where a lot of people get frustrated.
Let me just address that. So the first problem you see is people immediately think back to, what game was it?
Well, I mean, there's a million examples.
I think it was like Dead Space or something,
Sure.
where literally in the game files you could go in and the animation files were there, the sound files were there. You didn't have to download any additional content to unlock the DLC. You just have to pay. So it's literally physically on the disc.
There's a Capcom game that did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of them. So the DLC folder in Evolve isn't actually the behemoth sounds, the behemoth abilities, and so on. It's actually just going to be a placeholder thing that's there for the game structure to be ready, such that when the DLC comes, it's already associated a folder or whatever. I've been to their studios, and they were playing a build with the behemoth. This was it was about a month ago, where the behemoth was just a cube running around. So the behemoth literally isn't made yet. So you finding, or someone finding a folder called DLC doesn't mean the behemoth is ready by any means. It just means that there's some placeholder architecture there ready for the game.
It's just the fact that it could have been put, like, it could be in the final game, but they're going to sell part of the game's lifetime sales is going to be based on what they can build after the game's already shipped, when it could have made the main game.
You bring up a really serious question, because what essentially they've done is, instead of holding off the release until their plans for the game have been completed, they are essentially releasing the game early while they're still producing, 1/4 of the playable characters, to sell their game for $60 to charge you more for it later. So I completely see where you're coming with, JP. Like, one would think in a world like, let's take Witcher 3 for instance. Witcher 3 has already announced all their DLC is going to be free. Right. You buy the game, you get a bunch of DLCs, you already paid for it, done. And that's amazing. And I think every company should do that, and we just shouldn't buy any games from any company that don't. Like, that'll happen. But my point is that it makes you think, like, okay, if you're working on this product when the game is in the process of releasing, that basically means that, it's only marketing that makes it so that's not part of your game. Like, you're the one saying, oh, this feature set is the real game, but all this stuff we're working on, you have to pay for later. Well, okay, why don't you just delay the game a little bit and put everything in that you want? It's like what they're doing these days is making it so the $60 price tag of a computer game is no longer the price tag of your game. The $60 is your starting point. And if you want all the features and characters that your game is actually going to get, like you would have gotten back in the old days, then now you have to pay extra for them later when we're actually done developing them.
Because, the communities know, people know, and I've seen comments on, like, Reddit and NeoGAF where people are just like, yeah, I'm just going to wait for the Game of the Year edition. And it's hilarious because that is the end of a game's life cycle, is when the Game of the Year edition comes out, because it has everything they put out. The beginning is when it launches. You can buy the season pass. You can buy all the DLC. Then at the end, Game of the Year edition. And you can predict that with pretty much any AAA title. The second the game even goes out, there's always a season pass. I think is there one for Evolve? Do you know, Chris?
What? Sorry, season pass?
Is there like a season pass or something?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, they've got a season pass. I don't know how much it is. But eventually,
$15 or something.
a year from now, you'll probably see or 9 months from now, when the game's about to die down, you'll probably see the Game of the Year edition come out. And it's kind of ridiculous now that like we can all predict that, and we know that a game's not just going to be $60. But I don't know. We kind of got off on a little tangent.
Well, it's kind of interesting because that like these days, it's coming to the point where, of course, these companies and the people doing the marketing for these companies are going to get every penny out of us that they can. That's their job, is to figure out how to make their product more valuable in the eyes of the in the eyes of the consumer. So we literally have these companies that are just going further and further down this slope. I mean, think if you would have talked to 10-year-old you about DLC. They would probably think you're crazy. What do you mean paying extra for something that should have been,
10-year-old me probably would have think that was
extra
awesome,
stuff later.
But
like, for instance, okay, let's say, yeah. Oh, well, okay, let's take this for instance. What if there was a game that had 5 acts and you paid for the first act, and then if you beat it, you then bought the second act. And then if you still held your interest, then you bought the third act. It's like,
I mean, that already exists. That's called The Walking Dead. Like, those games exist, right?
Sorta. Yeah, that's episodic content in the forms of the Telltale game. But why are they the only ones doing it? Why aren't major?
I mean, we saw
that's their little thing that
Square
fits their
Enix
little
step
environment.
into it with Life is Beautiful recently. We've seen.
Oh, see, I haven't played that yet.
Yeah, and that's an
that's
episodic
cool.
game. You
That's
can buy
cool.
the
That's
first one
great.
for $5, and then you can buy the full pack for $20, etc. Et cetera.
But that's almost like a step in the right direction. That is, you pay for the content you want to experience, which I guess arguably is what Evolve's doing. But if you're going to do that, then maybe you should make it so your base game is $30, and then you want the extra monsters? Here, $10 pack for that. So you make it so it equals up to what you'd normally pay for a game, instead of paying for a finished product and then a whole bunch more.
It's kind of like, and this is probably a strong statement, but it's kind of like they're taking the free-to-play route, but charging you $60 up front for the game. Like, if you look at something like Nosgoth, it's free-to-play. You can buy, and this, I'm not even going to go into that example, actually, because it's not that similar, but it's a little bit, if they were just a free-to-play game, the game probably would be a lot bigger than it's going to be, I bet you.
I agree. I think that's that first big chunk of change to buy the core
Life
game
is Strange, sorry. That's the movie.
Is probably too much. I agree there. And I think maybe the DLC is also probably a little bit too pricey. So when I went to the studio, we saw their kind of behind the scenes character creation studio thing, and they have like movie level CGI quality monsters that are being modeled and put into the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe they're doing that because they go so talented, but it's not economically viable to say, well, let's spend $500,000 worth of money on this many artists making this model this good if we're only going to have to scale it back down into a playable FPS for games and consoles anyway. So I feel like I think that might be another mistake they've made, where they're kind of focusing so much on making everything perfect that they feel like they have to charge this much. And like you say, $60 up front. If it was 30, if it was 20, maybe I imagine they'd shift a hell of a lot more units.
I do feel like we should definitely comment on the fact that, go back at least to, because people are joining in wondering, like, should I even spend $60 on the game? And that's a lot of reason why they watch the show. Mm-hmm. My take on it is, if you have friends, buy it with friends, play it with friends. The game's actually fun. If you're buying it for a solo experience and only will solo queue, watch a stream to see if you really want to, or watch a stream that's playing Monster and see if you really want to, because you're not going to have a good time playing with pubs.
I was actually just about to say, if you enjoy playing the Monster and that's all you want to do,
this
is the game for you.
Yeah. If you get queued properly.
You will have a great time pub stomping in this game.
If you get queued properly.
And it's a lot of fun. I got to admit, playing the Monster is one of the more unique multiplayer experiences I've had in a while. To Evolve's credit, they did a fantastic job on that. It really is a lot of fun.
Another angle that I want to point out, that we should be pointing out as casters with communities. People say, should I buy this if I'm playing solo? Find a community from a caster that you like and go on their community TeamSpeak. You will have a bunch of people playing that all watch the caster you like, therefore probably learn how to play quite well. And then if they're in the TeamSpeak of the caster you like, they probably value the same, they probably have the same values as that caster. So friendly, open, interactive, this, that, the other, non-intimidating. So like I imagine on my TeamSpeak, TeamSpeak, everyone's TeamSpeak, there's probably a bunch of people sat there playing Evolve anyway. And if you just jump in and go, "Hey, have you got room for one more?" I'm sure a whole bunch of people will find those friends they need to enjoy the hunter side of the game itself. So, consider that when, don't be completely deterred by if you don't have a set team of friends, because you can always find a community. Maybe find a community first. Jump in the TeamSpeak. Can I play with you? Yeah. Okay. And then then you can buy the game, kind of thing.
It's true.
And tell me this, Sacriel. I mean, if someone jumped into your channel and said, "Hey, my name is so and so on Steam. I'd love to find people to play with," you'd probably encourage that kind of stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah,
people can come to Twitch to find teammates, and we'll help you do it if we have time. I mean, yeah, it's
These
absolutely
channels are like a hub for people like-minded people to interact. And part of that interaction, if like on my channel, I have people playing DayZ as teams, Battlefield, Battle Royale, all sorts of stuff. So find a community, jump in the TeamSpeak, and I'm sure you'll be able to find people to play with and enjoy yourself.
Exactly, Flippo Maniacs. Don't go on my TeamSpeak if you don't want to get shot in the back.
So
what were you saying?
So I've just been sitting here listening and thinking about. I think the problem for me, as far as like Evolve goes, is that you brought up a point about how you start off and you don't know shit. You're just lost in the dark, trying to figure shit out. But once you start using that communication and figuring out your role in the thing, maybe I just didn't put enough time into it. Like, you guys are like, you're almost convincing me to like give it another shot and actually try and be good at it, because like Destiny was kind of the same thing for me when I was doing like PvP arenas, stuff like that. It was just like the same every other PvP I'd ever played. But once I started, figuring out what things done, how to get, or what things did and how to get good or get better and that kind of thing, maybe that's something that was like a lesson for me and for maybe other gamers out there, is that give yourself a chance to actually get good at the game before you poop all over it like I was doing.
Yeah.
I think the main difference is, and it's more of a psychological thing that people need to mentally appreciate so that they can process, is like if you watch your average person play Darkest Dungeon, they'll probably get their ass kicked for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
But they get their ass kicked by AI and RNG, so there's no pride loss. If you play Evolve and get killed by a monster, you're like, some dude just killed me and he feels good and I feel bad. And there's a whole other psychological side to that, where enough of those in a row and you're like, I'm tired of people making me feel bad. So, if you appreciate that and say, well, I'm almost meant to lose in the beginning unless I'm in a coordinated team. I just need to make sure set yourself a goal of learning something new each game. Like, oh, I didn't know that monster gave me that buff. Oh, I didn't know my weapon did this. Oh, I didn't know if I did this in a certain way, it really helped out my team. Take pride in your performance from the team and learn something new each game. And before long, you'll be the guy pressing G on your keyboard and just saying to the trapper, "Get ready with your dome, mate." And that little line of encouragement is all it takes for that guy to go, "Oh God, someone kind of gave me a bit of a tip there and it worked, and that felt really good." And it's kind of like a cascading effect through the community where people will actually come back and play and learn and have the resilience. But I think a lot of people on their kind of like, on their default mentality will feel, I'm getting crushed by this monster over and over. That's a person enjoying it. I don't like this
You're
feeling.
asking a lot of the internet to change their shitty mentality on games.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. I played my first game of. I queued up as a monster and it gave me the hunter, and it put me in the lobby with these 4 dudes, and I just pressed G and went, "Hey guys, anyone got a mic?" And the first person to reply was, "Shut up, N-word." And I was like, That's the internet.
Yeah.
Like immediate, like didn't skip a beat. Like he was,
we were playing,
like he was ready for it. It was ridiculous.
After you and TB left last night, or this might even before that, we finished a game and the monster beat our team, and I was just solo queuing. And after we left, I was the monster against 4 hunters. That's what it was. They crushed me, absolutely crushed me. It was like second time playing monster on stream. And after the game, the other team goes, "Damn, dude, you almost died as fast as you did in the Survivor games." And then I just Alt F4'd. So it's like, you can't change the internet, dude. You can't change the internet.
Ouch.
People are going to be shitlords no matter what.
I just put together. I totally forgot that when the game came out, you were actually helping me, and I think during like the first like release of Evolve that I played, you were in the back helping me, and this before we met at PAX or anything. Yeah. And everybody's obviously knows you and telling how cool you are. And I was like in the chat, and you were like, you I felt like I was in third grade. You're like, this is an, or like in kindergarten or preschool. It's like, this is an F. F sounds like fuck. It's like, you are a medic. Medics go bzz, bzz. You know, and it was so, but it was so like, you were like, but with, if it was JP doing that, I would hate him and want to punch him.
Yeah.
But
No, it takes a special person like Chris.
With your
It takes an English person.
kind
That's all
nature.
it takes.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Chris has a. It's very
Gun
true.
shoot, gun shoot. Oh,
Yeah, Chris is very. I come off as like a dick, and Chris comes off as like a saint. That's the difference between it. Because if you don't get it the first time, I'm just gonna be like, "It's fucking G. What are you doing? Just hit the button." What is he? Chris is like, "Look, man, you just gotta hit G. That's all. Just push the button, and then you're good, and you'll help our team out."
okay. Oh, gee, I can do that.
Yeah.
By the way, king shit, love it, love it.
Thanks to
is it in?
Fantastic.
thanks to Julia and Shannon for that. It's another. All my. I was talking about this yesterday. All my emotes are fucking inside jokes. They're stupid, but
brilliant.
whatever. People enjoy them.
Inside joke emotes are the best emotes, man.
They're pretty good.
I've got like 10 of them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So yeah, that's Evolve. If you're still on the fence about if you want to buy it or not, watch streams on Twitch. That's why it exists. And do keep in mind, like, you're not going to have as much fun as you could have if you're playing with friends when you play the game.
Also, I just want to say, like, look around. Like, there's, I think, so I didn't check this out myself, but I'm sure someone said that if you can buy Evolve from their website itself and it's cheaper than Steam or something crazy. There's lots of places you can get. You can get it cheaper than Steam.
This is called a segue, ladies and gentlemen. You can buy it on G2A for like $34, and we'll talk about
You
G2A.
could on the date of release.
Yeah. We'll
No
talk
doubt.
about G2A and everything in our topic of the week, as well as some news after this. That's the first part of Dropped Frames. We'll be right back, guys, with part 2. Don't go anywhere. Also, are we doing questions this week? I guess we are. We'll put that in the chat if you guys have questions. We're not doing any stream critiquing this week, but if you have a question for the show, we'll get to that towards the
Yeah,
end.
my people have been putting it periodically in the chat.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, we'll be right back, guys. More Dropped Frames coming up right after this. We'll see you in just a sec.